What's going on, guys? I'm RSB and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock beta video. Today we have a few changes, not too much added, but the things that they did add are very interesting additions to the game. And we are just now starting to get started with the new additions, which are going to pave the way for cave generation, just like the Java edition has, but here in Bedrock. So with the additions that they have added on this beta update, I'm sure that the cave generations are going to be very, very close behind. So without further ado, let's jump into it and see what's going on with the new beta. So we are going to start off with some of the new blocks that have been added here. If you look in front of me, we have deep slate, something that has long been awaited. This is the deep slate on the bottom here compared to the stone. And then we also have all of the other variants of ore blocks that have been added as well. So on top is the texture that everybody is used to, which is going to be all of your stone variants. And on the bottom we have all of our deep slate variants that are going to be the new addition to the game. If you notice on the iron ore side of things, we have two different textures here. Not quite sure. Take two. Not quite sure what that's all about. However, I am pretty sure that the bottom deep slate texture is the one that's going to be sticking around. I know that the upper iron ore that has the regular stone backing to it, that was one that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, were not a fan. So I do believe they are going to be adding the new iron texture to both the stone and the deep slate. I don't foresee them having two different iron textures as far as the texture itself goes. We are going to have the two different variants of block, obviously, though, the deep slate and the regular stone. And just like most things, this is a beta, so it is subject to change at any time. So let's go over the rest of it. So as you can see, we have the two different iron textures here on the ore. Then we have the gold that has been added into the deep slate variant, the diamond that has been added. Then we have the lapis, the redstone, and these also have a deep slate variant, although you are not going to be able to find these in a regular generated world because the emerald, the coal, and the copper will never generate low enough to be found inside of the deep slate, which is below Y16. With that being said, the deep slate variants have been added to the game. That way map makers are able to use those, and you are able to use those inside of your creative world as well. So that's a nice touch that they did, thinking about people that's going to be making maps, people that are going to be working and playing inside of their creative world. So it's nice that they think outside the box for them players and not just the survival players. So speaking of deep slate, we have all of these new deep slate blocks that have been added. I don't think that we have any of the infested deep slate blocks that have been added yet, but those I'm sure are to come in the future. This is what your regular deep slate block is going to look like, and then this is going to be your cobbled deep slate block. So if you use a regular pickaxe and you break your deep slate block, you're going to end up getting a cobbled deep slate block. However, if you have silk touch, then you're going to end up picking up the deep slate block just as it is. The textures do seem like they need a little bit more refining. They do look pretty good from a distance here, but as soon as you get close, they do get rather pixelated in my opinion. I don't know if they're done tweaking these or not, but we'll have to see what exactly happens in the future. I have also noticed that the coal is rather hard to see. I don't know if that's going to be fixed in the future. Just one of those things that we're going to have to stick around and see what they decide to do. So moving on with the cobbled deep slate here, we have polished deep slate, just like any of your other polished variants of block, like your polished andesite, polished dorite, things like that. So this is just going to be your deep slate variants of that. Then we have these really awesome looking blocks, and I think everybody is a big fan of these. They are deep slate tile blocks, and it's kind of a new class altogether of blocks. So it's nice to have another block to add to our building arsenal. And this thing, it really does look sweet. Moving on, we have the cracked deep slate tiles. Same as your deep slate tiles, obviously, just with a cracked variant. And then we have our deep slate bricks, which are taking on your original brick texture. And then we have the cracked deep slate bricks, which are going to be obviously the same as the bricks, just with a cracked variance. And chiseled deep slate. This chiseled deep slate block, it does look like they are taking on the shape of the shulker. If you have not noticed, or you have not used a bunch of chiseled blocks, if you look really closely at them, you'll notice secret creatures that have been etched into them, such as sandstone and having the creeper face carved into them. This one I'm pretty sure is going to replicate a shulker, but that's just my opinion with what it looks like. It also does kind of look like a face. So if you're building a statue, maybe you could use it as a face. Who knows? The possibilities here on Minecraft are endless. So not only do we have all those awesome blocks to build with, we do also have 4 new styles of wall that have been added as well. We have the cobbled deep slate wall, which is a wall variance obviously of the cobbled deep slate. And it is very, very nice looking. All of these walls are very, very nice looking. This wall here in front of us is going to be the deep slate tile wall. Again, this amazing texture that they have added. I'm a big fan, and I know a lot of other people are a big fan. And then directly behind me, we have the last two, with the polished deep slate wall. It's a very nice looking wall. It almost has more of a stone block shape to it, to where all of the sections are individually cut. So this could be really useful for certain builds. And then moving on to the last one, we have the deep slate brick wall. So those are going to be the 4 variants of the walls. Let's move on to the stairs. We have, just like the walls, we have the cobbled deep slate stairs in front of us here on the left. The deep slate tile stairs here on the middle left. The polished deep slate stairs right here on the right middle. And all the way to the right here, we have the deep slate brick stairs. And then also with the stairs, we have our slab variants as well. The cobbled deep slate slab on the left. The polished deep slate slab in the left middle. On the right middle, we have the deep slate tile slab, which again, I'm a huge fan. And on the far right side, we have the deep slate brick slab. I think that they have done an awesome job bringing in all of these blocks to the game, and I think they are going to be widely welcomed by the entire community. We have the stone brick on the left-hand side here, and then we have the polished black stone brick on the right-hand side. There is a huge difference between lighting texture and contrast between these two blocks. So with these deep slate variants, you can see that they are just such an amazing happy medium between these two blocks, and it's going to allow us a whole lot of new possibilities to be able to blend these two together inside of our builds. So that, in my opinion, is very, very exciting. So moving on from the deep slate, we are just going to hello? 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 Can anybody hear me? Hear me. That's a deep hole. So if you haven't noticed and you haven't watched my last update video, take a look at the center number on my coordinates. We are at negative 59. World generation on Bedrock now goes all the way down to negative 64, and that's where the Bedrock stops. The Bedrock, as you can see here, starts to generate at negative 59. So we have a whole lot more blocks to play with inside of our worlds. If you notice in the middle here, we have some dark patches. These dark patches are, in fact, I would really, really like to say Grimstone right now, but I can't because they changed the name. We have Deep Slate. These Deep Slate patches have been added in between negative 3 is what it looks like to me, negative 3 all the way up to Y positive 16. So this is going to be the very first additions that we are going to see on Bedrock Edition that is going to pave the way for the generation below it. Next, we're probably going to see the rest of the Deep Slate being generated in, and maybe at that point we'll see caves, or maybe we'll have the Deep Slate first and then caves will come shortly after that. We will have to wait and see. One thing to note, which I noted on my last update video, we still don't have any ore generation that occurs down past 0. This redstone here looks like it is at right at about 0. And that's going to be about the last of the generation that we're going to see here. All of these ores that you see in front of us are most likely going to be a lot harder to find going by the new charts that they have released, because these are going to be spread out sporadically throughout the whole limit of stone, cobblestone, deep slate, and things like that. They have also added a lot more into the mining aspect of things, to where it's going to be a lot more of a skill that you have to learn rather than just going to one level to find all of the ores that you need, such as before we would just go down to level 11 or 10 and we were able to find everything that we really needed. Now they're trying to basically put everything on different levels. That way it's not just a one level find all. We're now kind of going to have to work for it. They're also adding in a lot different of an aspect, to where they have a air exposure, and certain ores are going to be a lot less often found when there's air exposure. For example, in caves, you're not going to be able to see as many diamonds, for example, because now they have air exposure programmed into the data, and that's going to make it to where you don't have as many diamonds popping out in front of you inside of the cave. You're going to have to dig a little bit, so anything that is not directly next to air won't be considered air exposure, and therefore you'll be able to find generated diamonds a lot more often. Again, everything is in beta, so we're just going to have to wait and see how they put out the final release of it. But I think that it's going to add a lot more interest and fun to the game, to where you have to actually work for it instead of just getting it easy. If everybody wanted to just get everything easy, we would all be playing in creative mode and not survival. So I think that's really what pushes us and drives us to play survival and make the best out of things. Is it's a challenge, and them adding more challenge to the game is very, very, very welcomed, if you ask me. So in future updates to come, we will be getting ore generation down here, and we should also be receiving the cave update as well, which I think is what everybody is really waiting for. So I'm really curious to see how it all comes together, and I can't wait for that release. One more thing to note, it does not look like we have any kind of mob spawning below Y level 0, so that's going to still have to be integrated as well. But you can see these deep slate ores are going to generate anywhere that these deep slate patches are going to generate, and of course the stone variance is going to generate with the stone as well. It's actually turning out to be integrated very nicely into the game, and I really am a big fan. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move up and take a look at some of the other things that were added. Well, I think it's time to start the show with the start of the show. If you jump in the water, look what we have added to our Game on Bedrock edition. One of the long-awaited new mobs that we have, and I've played around with these guys a little bit, and they're pretty awesome. I must say they've really done a good job with them, and they're just a fun little creature. Now, although they are cute and although they are fun, they are very, very vicious, as I have found out. Some things to note: you can pick these up inside of a bucket and put them back down, obviously with the bucket. Whenever you pick one up, you're still going to have that pink axolotl inside of the bucket. So no matter what color you pick up, it's still going to show as a pink axolotl. I don't know if that's ever going to change. We'll just have to wait and see. But these guys can be picked up in a bucket, and they can also be dumped out in a bucket. You can also put leads on these guys. However, there is a bug, and this bug is a known bug and listed on the beta, that the leads are able to be used on the axolotl. However, they do float above their head. Although, like I said, it is a known bug, and they do plan to fix this. So, kind of funky looking, but they do know about it, and it's in the works to be repaired. So, that's good to know. So let's take our leash off. We do also have the axolotl spawn egg that came with this. These guys are going to spawn underground inside of the deep caves. I don't have any information as to what level. I'm assuming that they're going to spawn inside of the aquifers that are down inside of the deep cave. However, this edition does not have any spawning abilities for these guys, because there's no spawning beneath level 0, and there's also no aquifers or any deep caves for them to spawn in. So once we get the other stuff added, I'm sure that this is going to be implemented rather quickly. You cannot tame these guys. They're untamable. If you want one, I guess you're going to have to put it in an aquarium or something, or maybe a pond. They can go onto land, although they do dry out rather quickly on land. And if you want them to follow you, you're going to have to use a bucket of tropical fish. A bucket of tropical fish will let them follow you, and they are definitely attracted to it. And you are also going to use this bucket of tropical fish to breed these guys. Breeding these guys will pop out a baby, very, very, very cute axolotl. Look at this little guy. I just want to put him in my pocket and take him home. So you have to have a bucket of tropical fish, or else they don't have any interest in it. However, if you have a bucket of cod or a bucket of salmon, they don't want anything to do with it. You can't breed them, and they will not follow you with a bucket. If you have a bucket of cod or a bucket of salmon, they don't want anything to do with it. If you try to breed them, you cannot breed them with the cod or salmon, and they will not follow you. However, if you dump one of these into the water, you will see just how vicious these guys can be. Place a couple cod down, and you can see the cod doesn't last long. You can see they don't have any interest in the sea turtle, which is a good thing. We don't want these guys to be annihilating our entire ecosystem. Let's put these up here. We'll get the glow squid. These up. Regular squid, guardian, elder guardian, and then we also will get a dolphin. Let's put a dolphin in here and see what they do with the dolphins. Again, the passive mobs, they're not attacking the dolphins, which is probably a good thing. I don't think that they really want to fight a dolphin. Dolphins are one of those things, they're friendly, but you don't want to mess with them. Let's spawn in a regular guardian. Now what you're seeing in front of you here is they got attacked and they are actually playing dead. This is a new game mechanic that has been implemented onto the Axolotl. And it's really an interesting animation. And really interesting that the Axolotl can do that. Now when they do play dead, I do believe that they become invisible as far as being targeted by hostile mobs. So that's really neat that they're able to do that, and it will also help your axolotl live a lot longer. So let's place down another guardian. And the guardians don't really stand a good chance on them. Even as strong as a guardian is, you get the number of the axolotls and they take over. Now let's go ahead and spawn in the elder guardian. And I'm going to switch this to game mode survival. And you can see that I have the mining fatigue now. I'm just going to try to get out of the way from this guy killing me. I think we're going to need some more backup here. It's going to be the cutest army ever. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and spawn an Elder Guardian in, and then I'm going to knock a bunch of health off of him in creative mode while he's not able to attack me. And then now I'm going to switch this to survival and help them kill him. And since I was the one that dealt the last blow, he got rid of my mining fatigue for me, and he also gave me the regeneration effect. So this is going to be really handy to have whenever you're raiding a ocean monument. You can literally breed up a whole army of axolotls and take them with you, which is going to be a really awesome addition to the game. So I did want to cover some bug fixes that have been updated inside of this beta edition. And if you have watched my previous beta video, then you will understand these bug fixes that I'm about to show you. So in the last beta video, we were able to wax the block of copper, we were able to wax this exposed copper, and we were also able to wax this weathered copper. However, we were not able to wax this oxidized copper. With that bug, we were not able to protect this when there is a lightning rod on top of it. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, go ahead and check out my last beta video. I'll link it in the top right now if you want to check that out. I cover all of the mechanics with the wax and unwaxing with these blocks. However, to keep things short, the oxidized copper has now been added to the list. You are now able to wax this, just like you are able to wax all of the rest of them. And you can also use the axe to unwax these as well. And then the same mechanic goes for if there's no wax on them, you can still strip all of the oxidation off of these and bring them back to bare copper. So that is a bug that has been fixed. And then with the spore blossom above us, again, if you watched the last update video, whenever we used shears onto the spore blossom, we would get a hanging root that would drop down. That was a bug, and that has now been fixed. If we use the shears now, we actually get the spore blossom dropped just like it should be. So that has now been patched. One thing that has been added to the game is rabbits now have the ability to raid your carrot crops. So if you have carrots and you don't want anything to happen to them, then make sure that they are surrounded by a fence or completely covered, because these little guys will get in and they will ruin your day, because these guys really love carrots, as you can see. So definitely make sure that your carrot crops are covered, because that addition has been added to the game. A few other things to go over on the changelog are some more fixes that have been done for the quality of life. The water clarity has been upgraded to have better visibility throughout the water, and this says in particular it's going to be better visibility inside of the water cabins. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up for this beta release. I hope that you guys learned a little bit about the new blocks and about some of the new additions coming to the game. I know I have been learning a lot, so I could make these updates for you guys and bring them to you with accurate information. These videos do take a lot of time to research, and also a lot of time to put together and create to make sure everything is done correctly. So if you could drop a like, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps others find my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed for other beta updates, please do so. And you can check out my channel for all of the previous updates that I have done also. I hope that you guys are just as pumped and excited as I am for this full release update to come. And we cannot wait for all of these new additions to make it into the game. It's really been a journey seeing all of these come together and see what Mojang is coming up with. And I can't wait to see what follows in the weeks to come. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This has been RS Built, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.